you're so smiling and happy, and it's good to be here. Yeah, it's great. I'm excited. Are you excited about the holiday club starting tomorrow?
Yeah.
Well, I am, as John was saying, I am another John, but you can call me the Shiner, and I'm here to help shine the light within this place. I'm also the one who communicates with the firebugs. Now, I don't know if you noticed earlier on, but Swift doesn't take the study of firebugs too seriously, and so we might have to have words with her during the week. Anyway, I'm going to pop my lantern down over here somewhere. There we are. Firebugs, stay. You firebugs. So, I want to ask you a question this morning. Why do we have names? Why do we have names? Anyone know why we have names? We have an idea of why we have names. Yes! To know which person's which. That's a brilliant answer. To know who people are. But, hang on. Have you ever come across someone who's got the same name that you do? Yeah? Well, when I was growing up, as I said, I'm called John. And my dad is called John. Which was a really bad idea on his part. I take no responsibility for it. But we used to open each other's letters, we used to open each other's mail. Then when I hit 18, I started opening his credit cards and stuff for him. Sadly, I wasn't able to activate them, which was a real shame. But yeah, and then I got the job here at Pierce Den recently. And I came to work with another John. And with our church secretary, who's John. And our church administrator, who's another John. And so, on a Sunday morning, you come in here and shout, John, there's about 5 or 6 of us who turn around going, yeah, what? Anyway, it gets quite confusing. And so sometimes we need other names to distinguish. I wonder, can any of you remember the story that Fabiola told us a minute ago? What were the names that people were calling Jesus? What were the different names that people said? Because Jesus said, who is it that you say I am? And his followers suggested lots of different names. Can anyone remember the different names? Oh no.
I've forgotten.
A wall of blank faces in the back of me. Yes. Elijah. Elijah was one of them. Yeah. John the Baptist. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Behind me. Hi, Andrew. What do you think? Another prophet. Fantastic, Andrew. Good stuff. Well, that is indeed some of the names which Jesus was given. So some people said that he was John the Baptist. But see, I was thinking about this. And John the Baptist, if you read in the Bible stories, well, you find out that John the Baptist was Jesus' cousin. And they met each other several times. And in fact, when Jesus wanted to get baptized, it was John who baptized him down in the River Jordan. And so, surely they couldn't be the same person if they'd met all these times. And actually, by the time we get to this point in the story, well, John had already died. So, here's my question for you. My first question for you all this morning. Do you think the people were right? Do you think Jesus is John the Baptist?
No.
No. Right. Well, that deals with that. I have my special magic marker. So put a big cross through that one, because he wasn't John the Baptist. But some of you are pointing out that some other people said that he was Elijah. Now, does anyone know anything about Elijah? Can anyone tell me anything about who Elijah was? Straight in again, Andrew. Who was Elijah?
Elijah is a prophet from the Bible. He lived in a place ruled by a king called Ahab and a queen called Jezebel. Both the king and queen worshipped a god called Baal. They did not worship God. And to make matters worse, the queen had killed many prophets who worshipped God, but one, and that was Elijah.
Fantastic. Absolutely right. Spot on. Even more detail than I'd written down. Elijah. Yeah, he was one of the prophets. So his job was to come and to tell the people, particularly the kings, that they were to follow God and to stop doing whatever they liked. But the kings didn't listen. Now, Andrew said something really interesting there, because he said that Elijah was from the Old Testament and Jesus in the New Testament. So that's hundreds of years later on. So, do you think that Jesus is Elijah?
No.
No. Are you not sure on that one? That wasn't quite as convincing as the previous one. I'm going to take that as a no, though. Okay, big cross through Elijah. Right. Throw that away. Don't need that anymore. Okay, well, some people said he was another prophet, perhaps someone like Jeremiah. Ah. So does anyone know anything about Jeremiah? Except Andrew, because he seems to know a lot about it. Anyone know anything about Jeremiah? What can you tell me about Jeremiah? Who was he? What was he up to? When was he around? He was a miserable prophet.
The exile.
The exile, fantastic. Yeah. Well, yeah, Jeremiah was a little bit depressed. I think Jeremiah was a bad rep. But he was a little bit down most of the time. Because he came and he told the people in the Old Testament that if they didn't start following God's ways, if they kept doing what they wanted, they were going to be taken away to a foreign country to live there for 70 years. Now, do you think the people listened to Jeremiah?
No.
No, of course they didn't. And so they were taken away to live in a foreign country. But just like Elijah, Jeremiah was from way back in the Old Testament. So it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus was around. So do you think Jeremiah is Jesus? Or Jesus is Jeremiah?
No.
No! Fantastic, you're getting the hang of this now, this is great. Okay, we're going to score that one out. I'm running out of names now. Oh, now here's an interesting one. Some people said that he was a prophet. Does anyone know what prophets did? Does anyone know what the job of a prophet was in the Bible? What were prophets all about? Deacons, do any of you understand prophecy? What the role of prophets was? Michael, you're shouting something at me.
They were supposedly from God.
Yeah. Fantastic. So they could hear from God and they could tell people what God was saying. So the prophets were messengers from God. And their job was to tell people what God was saying to them, to call them to live the way that God wanted them to. And most of the time, what they did was, they would say, well, see all the things that God told you in the Bible. That's how you need to live. You need to stop doing what you want and you need to start following God. Now, here's the thing. I think Jesus did quite a lot of that. When Jesus was going around, he told people about what God's word said, and he did tell them to live the way that he wanted them to. And he did bring messages, special messages from God. But do you think being a prophet was all that Jesus was?
No.
But do you think maybe he was a prophet?
Yeah.
There was more to it than that. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do, I had a wee idea. I think we're just going to put a big question mark at that. So put a question mark there because, well, Jesus was a prophet, but he was more than that. There was a lot more going on. Now, we come to our last two. The Messiah and the Son of the living God. So, in the story that Fabiola was telling us, Simon Peter, who's one of Jesus' followers, they've all said their things. They've said, some people say you're John the Baptist, some say you're Elijah, some say you're one of the prophets. And then Simon Peter stands up and he says, I say that you're the Messiah. I say that you're the Son of the living God. Now, the Messiah basically meant someone who was chosen by God. And back in Jesus' day, the Jewish people were waiting for a special chosen person, an anointed person, who was going to come and was going to rescue them and was going to bring in God's kingdom. And so when Simon Peter said that he believed Jesus was the Messiah, he was saying that he believed Jesus was the chosen one. He was God's special person come to rescue the people. But not only that, he also said that Jesus was God's Son. Can you imagine that? God's rescue plan. His great plan was to send his own Son to be the one to rescue us. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So, here's my final question, and we'll see if we manage to get the jump here right. Do you think that maybe Simon Peter was the one who was right?
Yeah.
There we go. Excellent. I was slightly worried that might go wrong. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And so we're going to put a big tick next to both of those ones. Because I reckon that Simon Peter got it spot on. I think that he was right, that Jesus was the chosen one from God. And this week, here at Guardians of Ancora, if you're coming along this week or if you're helping out, we're going to be hearing lots more stories. Hopefully, as we find all the different treasures, Fabiola is going to be reminded of all the great stories from our past. I might come along and help out every now and then, or maybe create a little bit of mischief as we go along. Yeah. It's going to be really exciting. And we're going to be looking at this question of who is Jesus? What does the Bible say about him? And what do we say today? Who is Jesus in our lives? So that's what we're going to be learning about here this week at the Holiday Club. So, one of the other things that we're going to be doing at the Holiday Club is praying together, because that's quite a good thing to do, and it's something we like to do here in church. So, we're going to pray together at the moment, and I'm going to ask a couple of volunteers, Zoe and Ian, to come up and to help me out with this.